There are moments in life when a small act of kindness creates a ripple you never see coming. I'm Harold Bennett, 67 years old, and I've lived in Winnipeg, that's Winnipeg, long enough to know that February cold cuts right through to your bones. My wife Elizabeth passed 3 winters ago, and since then, the house on Portage Avenue feels bigger, emptier. My daughter Claire moved to Toronto for work, calls every Sunday like clockwork, and my son Marcus lives across town with his family. I see them for holidays, birthdays, the usual. That Tuesday morning, I needed milk and bread. The Safeway on Academy Road was my usual stop, the place where I knew which aisle held what, where the cashiers recognized my face, even if they didn't know my name. I grabbed my items, added some bananas because Elizabeth always said I didn't eat enough fruit, and headed to the checkout. The man ahead of me looked rough, maybe 40, maybe 50. Hard to tell when life's worn you down like that. His jacket had duct tape holding one sleeve together. His boots were soaked through from the slush outside, and he was counting quarters and dimes onto the counter, trying to buy a loaf of white bread and a jar of peanut butter. The cashier, a young woman with green hair and tired eyes, waited patiently while he counted. He came up $2 short. I watched him start to put the peanut butter back, his hands shaking from cold or something else. And I just couldn't. Elizabeth would have done it without thinking. I stepped forward and laid a 20 on the counter before he could protest. "Get yourself something hot, too," I said. "Coffee, at least." He stared at me like I'd spoken a foreign language. Then his eyes, gray and sharp despite everything, locked onto mine with an intensity that made me take a half step back. "You live alone?" he asked quietly. "Excuse me? Do you live alone, sir?" His voice was steady, educated, even, not what I expected. "I do. My wife passed away a few years ago." He picked up his bag slowly, still holding my gaze. Then he leaned in close enough that I could smell coffee and cigarettes and February cold on him. "When your son asks to borrow your truck next week, check the odometer before you give him the keys. Write down the exact number, and when he brings it back, check it again." I laughed. Not mean, just confused. "My truck? Why would—" "Just do it, Mr. Bennett." His eyes flicked to my wallet, still open in my hand, showing my driver's license through the clear plastic. "Harold Bennett, 847 Portage Avenue. I know things. I see things people don't think someone like me can see. You helped me, I'm helping you. Check the odometer." Then he walked out into the snow, leaving me standing there with my milk getting warm in my hands. The cashier rang up my items, and I paid, but my mind was elsewhere. The whole drive home, I kept thinking about his eyes, the way he said my address, like he'd known it all along. It should have scared me. Maybe it did a little, but mostly it just felt strange, like a puzzle piece that didn't fit anywhere. I live in a 2-story brick house that Elizabeth and I bought in 1985. Good bones, she always said. The driveway can fit 3 cars if you're careful about it. And my truck, a 2015 Silverado, sits there like a faithful dog, waiting for work. I barely drive it anymore, except for the occasional run to Canadian Tire, that's CANADIANTIRE, or when Marcus needs to borrow it. Marcus, my son, 38 years old, married to Jennifer, 2 kids, works in insurance, responsible, stable, the kind of son every father hopes for. He'd never given me reason to doubt him, not since he was a teenager and that whole mess with the principal's car got sorted out. That was 20 years ago. Kids make mistakes. I put the groceries away and made myself a sandwich, but I couldn't shake the homeless man's words. Check the odometer when Marcus asks to borrow the truck. The specificity of it bothered me. How did he know Marcus would ask? How did he know anything? 3 days passed, Normal days. I shoveled the driveway, watched the news, called Claire, and listened to her talk about her job at the advertising firm. She sounded tired, but happy. That's all a father can ask for. On Friday evening, Marcus called. "Hey, Dad. Doing okay?" "Good as can be, son. You?" Yeah. We're fine. Listen, I've got to pick up a client tomorrow morning out in Selkirk. That's Selkirk. And Jennifer needs the car for the kids' hockey practice. Any chance I could borrow the truck? Just for the morning. Be back by 2. My stomach did a strange flip. Selkirk. That's about an hour north. Round trip. Maybe 120 kilometers, depending on the route. "Sure," I heard myself say. "Come by around 8 o'clock. "Perfect. Thanks, Dad. You're a lifesaver." After he hung up, I stood in my kitchen for a long moment. Then I put on my boots and coat and went outside into the cold. The truck was covered in a thin layer of snow from the previous night. I brushed off the driver's side door, climbed in, and turned the key just enough to light up the dashboard. The odometer read 124,477 kilometers. I wrote it down on a scrap of paper I kept in the glove compartment. Then I sat there in the cold cab, watching my breath cloud in the air, wondering what the hell I was doing. This was Marcus, my son, the man who called me every week, who brought his kids over for Sunday dinners, who'd held Elizabeth's hand in the hospital those last days when I couldn't bear to watch her fade. But the homeless man's eyes, something about them. I went back inside and tried to sleep. Didn't work well. Marcus showed up at 8 sharp the next morning, dressed in his good coat, professional. He looked like success, like a man who had his life together. "Thanks again, Dad." He took the keys from my hand. "Shouldn't be more than a few hours. Drive safe. Roads are slick." "Always do." I watched him back out of the driveway and disappear down Portage Avenue. Then I went inside and waited. The house felt even emptier than usual. I tried to watch TV, tried to read the free press, but nothing held my attention. I kept checking my watch. 9 o'clock, 10, 11. At 1:30, I heard the truck pull into the driveway. I was at the window before I could stop myself, watching Marcus get out, brush snow off the hood, head to the door. "All good," he said, handing me the keys. Client was happy. Everything went smooth. Glad to hear it. Want some coffee? Can't. Dad got to get back for the kids. Jennifer's going to kill me if I'm late. He hugged me quick, the way busy men do, and left. I watched him walk to his car at the curb, watched him drive away. Then I pulled on my boots again and went out to the truck. The odometer read 124,672 kilometers. I stood there in the cold, doing the math in my head. 195 kilometers. That's not a round trip to Selkirk and back. That's not even close. Sel and back would be 120, maybe 130 if he took the long way or got lost. 195 kilometers is almost twice that. My hands started shaking, and it wasn't from the cold. I went back inside and pulled up Google Maps on my laptop, something Claire had taught me to use a few years back. I typed in my address and Selkirk. 61 kilometers, one way, 122 round trip. Where did my son go that required an extra 73 kilometers? I sat at the kitchen table for a long time, the paper with the numbers in front of me. There had to be an explanation. Maybe he stopped for gas. Maybe he took a wrong turn. Maybe the client lived farther than Selkirk. Maybe Marcus just misspoke on the phone. Maybe. But the homeless man had known. Somehow, he had known to tell me to check. Sunday came. Claire called from Toronto at her usual time, and I didn't mention anything. She talked about a campaign she was working on, asked if I was eating properly, told me she'd try to visit in March. After we hung up, the house felt suffocating. I needed to know. The not knowing was worse than any answer could be. Monday morning, I called Marcus at his office. "Hey, Dad, what's up?" Just wondering about Saturday. How'd the meeting go? Great. Yeah. Client signing a new policy. Exactly what we wanted. That's good. Selkirk's a nice drive when the roads are clear. A pause. Just a fraction of a second, but I heard it. Yeah, it was fine. Jennifer said you were out there too. I lied smoothly, surprising myself. Another pause. Longer this time. Jennifer, when did you talk to Jennifer? She called yesterday looking for you. Said she couldn't reach your cell. My cell was on the whole time. His voice had changed, got a little harder. Dad, did you actually talk to Jennifer or not? I took a breath. No, Marcus, I didn't. But I did check the odometer on my truck, before you took it and after you brought it back. Silence on the other end. Not the comfortable silence of someone thinking what to say, the heavy silence of someone who just got caught. Dad, where did you go, Marcus? Because it wasn't just Selkirk and back. I don't have to explain my movements to you. You do when you lie to me about why you need my truck. I didn't lie. I did see the client in Selkirk. And then where? Because you put on almost 200 kilometers, son. That's not a straight trip. That's going somewhere else. More silence. Then quietly, it's none of your business. The hell it isn't. You borrowed my vehicle under false pretenses. You lied to my face. Make it my business. I've got to go, Dad. I'm at work. He hung up. I sat there with a dead phone in my hand, my heart hammering in my chest. Something was very wrong. Marcus had never spoken to me like that. Never hung up on me. In 38 years, we'd had our disagreements, but not like this. That afternoon, I did something I'm not proud of. I called Jennifer. Hi, Harold. How are you? I'm fine, dear. Listen, Marcus left his sunglasses in my truck on Saturday. I was going to drop them off, but I don't know when you'll be home. Oh, we're home now. Kids are doing homework. Come by any time. Actually, I've got some errands up north tomorrow. I might be out near where Marcus was on Saturday, so I could swing by there if it's easier. Where did he say that client was again? Client? Jennifer sounded confused. What client? My stomach dropped. The insurance client in Selkirk. Harold, Marcus didn't work Saturday. He took the day off weeks ago. Said he needed to help you move some furniture. The world tilted slightly. Move furniture. That's what he told me. Some old dresser from your basement that was too heavy for you alone. He was gone most of the morning. Right, yes, the dresser. I'm getting forgetful. Must have mixed up my days. Happens to all of us. Come by whenever. No rush on the sunglasses. After I hung up, I sat very still. Marcus had lied to me. Marcus had lied to Jennifer. Marcus had lied to his work, apparently, because he'd taken the day off. Where had he gone for 5 hours and 195 kilometers? And why was it important enough to construct elaborate lies around? I thought about calling Claire, but what would I say? Your brother's acting strange, and I don't know why. She'd tell me I was paranoid, that there must be a reasonable explanation. And maybe there was. Maybe Marcus was planning a surprise party for me. Maybe he was looking at properties outside the city. Maybe. But the homeless man had known. Tuesday morning, I drove back to the Safeway on Academy Road. I don't know what I expected to find. Maybe I thought the homeless man would be there waiting, ready to explain everything. But the parking lot was empty, except for a few scattered cars. And inside the store, there was no sign of anyone matching his description. I asked the cashier, with green hair, if she'd seen him. The guy from last week, the one you bought groceries for? She shook her head. Haven't seen him since. Those guys move around a lot, you know. Here one day, gone the next. I bought a coffee from the little cafe inside the store and sat in my truck in the parking lot, watching people come and go, trying to make sense of everything. A man I didn't know had warned me about something I never would have checked otherwise. And because of that warning, I discovered my son was lying to me, but I still didn't know why. That evening, Marcus called. Dad, I'm sorry about yesterday. I shouldn't have hung up on you. No, you shouldn't have. Look, can we talk in person? I think that's a good idea. I'll come by tonight, 8. Okay, I'll be here. He showed up right on time, alone. Jennifer and the kids were at home, he said. He wanted to talk, just the two of us. We sat in the living room, the same room where Elizabeth used to read before bed, and for a long moment, neither of us spoke. I'm in trouble, Dad, Marcus finally said. My heart sank. What kind of trouble? Money trouble. Bad money trouble. How bad? He rubbed his face with both hands. $70,000. I felt the air leave my lungs. Jesus Christ, Marcus. How does someone get $70,000 in debt? It started small. A bad investment 5 years ago. Thought I could make it back. Borrowed against the house without telling Jennifer. Then the market crashed and I panicked. Started gambling to try to win it back. Online poker, sports betting. I kept thinking one big win would fix everything. But it just got deeper and deeper. I couldn't speak. This was my son, the responsible one, the insurance agent who advised other people on financial planning. Jennifer doesn't know, I managed. Nobody knows. Just you now, and the people I owe money to. Who do you owe money to, Marcus? He looked at me then, and I saw fear in his eyes. Real fear. Not good people, Dad. The kind who don't care about payment plans or excuses. They want their money, and they want it now. And Saturday, where did you really go? There's a guy out past Lockport. He deals in things that aren't exactly legal. Stolen goods, mostly. I've been buying stuff from him and reselling it online, trying to make enough to keep these people off my back. That's where I went to pick up some electronics he'd stolen from a warehouse. I sold them Sunday for $8,000. I stared at my son, this stranger in my living room, wearing Marcus's face. You're telling me you're fencing stolen goods. I don't have a choice. You always have a choice. They threatened Jennifer, Dad. They threatened the kids. Sent me a picture of Emily getting off the school bus. 8 years old. And these animals are taking pictures of her. What choice do I have? My hands clenched into fists. You go to the police and tell them what? That I'm in debt to loan sharks? Because I gambled away money I embezzled from my own mortgage. I'll go to prison. Jennifer will leave me. I'll lose everything. You're losing everything anyway, son. You're just doing it slower and taking more people down with you. He stood up abruptly, started pacing. I didn't come here for a lecture. I came here because I need help. What kind of help? He stopped pacing, turned to face me. You have money, Dad. The life insurance from Mom, your pension, the house is paid off. You're sitting on probably $500,000 in assets. Something cold crawled up my spine. Don't. I just need a loan. $70,000. I'll pay you back, I swear. These guys get their money. They leave me alone. I stop the gambling. Get everything back on track. It's not like you need it. You live alone. You barely spend anything. Get out, Dad, I said. I said, get out. I stood up, surprised by how steady my voice was, despite the shaking in my hands. You come into my house, tell me you've lied to your wife, lied to me, stolen property, gotten involved with dangerous criminals, and then you ask me to bankroll your mistakes. What happens when you gamble away my $70,000 too? Who do you steal from then? I wouldn't. You would. You already did. You lied to me about my own truck to go buy stolen goods. You lied to Jennifer about why you needed the day off. You lied to your work. What makes you think I believe anything you say now? His face hardened. I'm your son, and that's the only reason I'm not calling the police right now. but I will not give you money to throw into whatever hole you've dug for yourself. You want help? Real help. Tomorrow, we go to the police together. You tell them everything, and you face the consequences like a man. That's the only help I'm offering. Screw you, Dad. The words came out cold and precise. I should have known you'd be useless. You've been useless since Mom died, just sitting in this house feeling sorry for yourself while the world moves on. Well, the world doesn't care about your grief, and neither do I. He walked out. The door slammed hard enough to rattle the windows. I stood there in my living room for a long time, breathing hard, my chest tight. Then I sat down heavily on the couch and put my face in my hands. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. Marcus was supposed to be the success story. Claire was the dreamer, the artistic one, the one we worried about. Marcus was solid, or so I thought. The homeless man had known. Somehow, someway, he had known to warn me. Check the odometer. And because I had, I discovered all of this. But what good did it do? My son was still in trouble. My son had just cursed me out and slammed my door. My son was involved with criminals. I didn't sleep that night. I kept replaying the conversation, wondering if I'd been too harsh, wondering if I should have given him the money just to keep him safe. But I knew where that road led. Enablement, more lies, more danger. Elizabeth would have known what to do. She always knew. Wednesday morning, I called Claire. Hey, Dad, this is a surprise. You never call during the week. I need to talk to you about Marcus. I told her everything. The homeless man's warning, the odometer, the lies, last night's confession, and request and argument. She listened without interrupting, and when I finished, she was quiet for a long moment. Holy sh! She finally said. That about sums it up. Dad, you did the right thing. If you'd given him money, it wouldn't solve anything. He'd just be $70,000 deeper when he lost it all again. But what if they hurt Jennifer, the kids? Then Marcus needs to go to the police right now, today, and if he won't, maybe you should. He's my son, Claire. And Jennifer's your daughter-in-law, and those kids are your grandchildren. If Marcus won't protect them, someone has to. She was right. I knew she was right. But the thought of turning my own son over to the police made me physically ill. Let me talk to him first, I said. One more time. If he won't listen, then I'll make the call. Be careful, Dad. People do stupid things when they're desperate. After we hung up, I tried calling Marcus. It went straight to voicemail. I tried 3 more times throughout the day. Voicemail every time. I called Jennifer, trying to sound casual, asking if Marcus was home. He stayed at a hotel last night, she said, sounding confused and hurt. Said he needed space to think about some work stuff. He won't return my calls either. Harold, do you know what's going on? I think he's going through something, dear. Has he seemed stressed lately? More than usual? Yes. Distracted. Angry sometimes. Over nothing. I thought maybe it was a midlife crisis or something. Should I be worried? I wanted to tell her everything. I wanted to warn her to take the kids and go stay with her parents until this was sorted out. But it wasn't my place. Marcus needed to tell her. Marcus needed to face what he'd done. Just give him some time, I said instead. He'll come around. But I wasn't sure I believed it. Thursday passed with no word from Marcus. Friday morning, I woke up to my phone ringing. It was Jennifer, and she was crying. Harold, the police are here. They're arresting Marcus. My stomach dropped. What? Why? They won't tell me much. Something about receiving stolen property. They found electronics in our garage, still in the boxes. Harold, what's happening? I'm coming over, I said. Don't say anything to anyone until I get there. I drove to Marcus's house in a daze. There were 2 police cars in the driveway, neighbors standing on their porches watching. Jennifer met me at the door, mascara running down her face, the kids behind her looking terrified. One of the officers, a young woman with a kind face, explained it to me. An anonymous tip had led them to investigate a theft ring operating out past Lockport. When they raided the location, they found records showing Marcus as one of the buyers. A search warrant for his house turned up several items that matched recent theft reports. But he cooperated, the officer said. He's giving us names, locations, everything. The Crown might be willing to work out a deal if he continues to cooperate. Marcus was going to jail. Not maybe, not possibly. My son was going to jail. They let me see him before they took him to the station. He looked smaller somehow, deflated. The anger from 2 nights ago was gone, replaced with resignation. "I'm sorry, Dad," he said quietly. "You were right about all of it." "Who called the police?" "I don't know. I thought maybe you did." "It wasn't me then. I don't know. Maybe the guys I owed money to, trying to get me out of the way. Maybe someone who bought something from me and figured out it was stolen. Does it matter?" "I suppose not." "Will you look after Jennifer and the kids while I'm inside?" "Of course I will." "Thank you." His voice broke. "I'm sorry, Dad. I'm so sorry." They took him away in handcuffs while his children watched from the window. The next 3 weeks were a blur. I helped Jennifer as much as I could, watched the kids while she met with lawyers, held her while she cried, and asked how she'd missed the signs. Claire flew in from Toronto and stayed for a week. We told the kids that Daddy had made some mistakes and needed to go away for a while to make things right. Marcus pleaded guilty to receiving stolen property and conspiracy. Because he cooperated fully and had no prior record, he got 3 years. Jennifer filed for divorce. The house went up for sale to pay legal fees and Marcus's debts. She and the kids moved in with her parents across town. It was Claire who suggested we try to find the homeless man. Dad, he knew. He knew something was coming. Don't you want to know how? We went back to the Safeway on Academy Road every day for a week. We asked around at the shelters, showed his description to the other homeless folks we could find. Nobody had seen him. Nobody knew who we were talking about. It was like he'd never existed. On the 7th day, we were walking back to my truck when Claire stopped suddenly. "Dad, look." She was pointing at a man across the parking lot, bundled in a heavy coat, getting into an older model sedan. Not the homeless man, but something about him seemed familiar. We watched him drive away, and as the car passed under a streetlight, I caught a glimpse of his face. It was the homeless man, clean-shaven, in clean clothes, driving a car. Claire and I just stood there, stunned. Then I started laughing. I couldn't help it. The absurdity of it all. "He wasn't homeless," I said. "No," Claire agreed. "He wasn't. But who was he? And how did he know? We never got an answer to that. But 2 weeks later, a letter arrived at my house. No return address, postmarked from Winnipeg. Inside was a single piece of paper with 3 sentences, written in neat handwriting. "Your son was under investigation for 8 months. I work with people who need warnings. They don't know they need. Tell your daughter in Toronto to change her locks. The superintendent has a key. He shouldn't have." I called Claire immediately and read her the letter. She went silent. "Dad, I've been having this feeling lately that someone's been in my apartment when I'm not home. Little things moved. I thought I was being paranoid. Change the locks today." She did. And 3 days later, her building manager was arrested for breaking into female tenants' apartments and stealing underwear. It made the news in Toronto. Claire called me crying, not from fear, but from relief that she'd listened. I keep the letter in my dresser drawer next to a photo of Elizabeth. I think about it sometimes, about how a man I bought peanut butter for changed the course of my family's life. If he hadn't warned me, I never would have checked the odometer. I never would have discovered Marcus's lies. The situation would have escalated, gotten worse. Maybe Marcus would have gotten desperate enough to do something even more stupid. Maybe those loan sharks would have hurt Jennifer or the kids. Instead, it all came out. Ugly and painful, yes, but out. Marcus is serving his time, getting counseling, attending Gamblers Anonymous meetings in prison. Jennifer says he writes to the kids every week. Proper letters they can keep. He's trying. Maybe when he gets out, he'll actually be better. Maybe. I see Jennifer and the kids every Sunday. Claire visits once a month. The house doesn't feel as empty as it used to. I volunteer at a shelter now, serving meals, because I can't stop thinking about how someone helped me when I needed it most, even though I didn't know I needed it. I still shop at that Safeway, and I still look for the man who wasn't homeless. I want to thank him. I want to ask him how he knew, who he works for, how many other people he's warned, but I never see him. Maybe that's how it works. Maybe people like him move through the world doing what needs to be done, and then disappear before anyone can ask questions. I'm 67 years old. My son is in prison. My daughter-in-law is rebuilding her life. My grandchildren are growing up with a father behind bars. It's not the life I imagined for my family, but we're surviving. We're together in the ways that matter. And sometimes I think about what would have happened if I hadn't stopped that day to help a stranger buy peanut butter. Small acts of kindness. That's what Elizabeth used to say. They ripple out in ways you never see coming. She was right. She usually was. Last week, I was at the grocery store again, and a young woman ahead of me was short on her bill. I paid the difference without thinking about it. She looked at me with tears in her eyes and thanked me 3 times. I didn't give her any warnings. I'm not like that man. But I told her, pay it forward when you can. These small things matter more than we know. She nodded and left. And I went home to my house on Portage Avenue, where the radiator clanks in the evening, and Elizabeth's books still line the shelves, and the world keeps turning despite everything. My son made terrible choices. My family fell apart and is slowly coming back together in a new shape. And it all started because a stranger told me to check my odometer. I don't know if I believe in angels or fate or divine intervention, but I believe in people who pay attention, who see what others miss, who step in when they don't have to. I believe in that because I saw it. I lived it. And every time I drive my truck now, I glance at the odometer and remember to check. Remember to pay attention. Remember that sometimes the smallest details reveal the biggest truths. My name is Harold Bennett. I'm 67 years old. I live alone in Winnipeg, Manitoba. And a man I bought peanut butter for probably saved my grandchildren's lives by teaching me to look closer at the people I thought I knew best. That's my story. That's the truth. And I'm still here, still looking, still hoping to see him one more time to say thank you properly. But until then, I'll keep buying groceries for strangers when they come up short, because you never know. You never know what ripples you're creating. And sometimes, just sometimes, those ripples come back to save you.